Hognose snake lovers are in for a treat today because we are going to be feeding all 4 of the species of hognose snakes that we keep. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Audible for sponsoring today's video. Being stuck at home because of COVID has opened my eyes to some weird habits that I've picked up. I'm trying to break the habit of checking on my gravid garter snakes every 5 minutes when I think they're about to give birth. Any babies today? Nope, no babies. How about now? Do you have your babies now? Did you have your babies yet? You're so fat! Look at that scale spread! I've also started dissecting all movies with reptile scenes to show their inaccuracies. Those are legless lizards. Those aren't snakes in the snake pit. Okay, that was a snake, but all of those are legless lizards. Those cheaters in Indiana Jones. Finally, since I can't tell my reptile jokes and puns to kids at programs nowadays, I've been telling them all to Ed, who doesn't seem to appreciate them as much. Hey, how do you measure a snake? In inches, because it doesn't have any feet! Hey Ed, what is a snake's favorite subject?
History?
No, math, cause it's an adder. That's why I'm listening to the audiobook Atomic Habits, which teaches you how to break old habits and build good ones. Now I've learned to tell all my reptile jokes to our alligator Rex instead. Hey Rex, what do you tell an aquatic reptile that likes to solve crimes? An investigator. Rex. Did you know that alligators can grow up to 14 feet? But most of them only have 4. Listening to Audible is a great way to learn something new. And now your 30-day free trial includes not only your free audiobook of choice, but also unlimited Audible original downloads. Just go to audible.com/snake-discovery or text Snake Discovery to 500-500, where you can get the Atomic Habits audiobook for free or any other audiobook in their library, regardless of price. If you don't like the one you chose, you can exchange it at any time, no questions asked. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, as well as guided meditation, podcasts, fitness routines, and more. You can cancel at any time, but you still get to keep whatever you've already downloaded. Again, just go to audible.com/snake-discovery or text Snake Discovery to 500-500 to get your free audiobook today and access to unlimited Audible original downloads. Thanks again, Audible, for sponsoring today's video, and now let's feed some hognose snakes. You're not a hognose, I'm sorry. You're a Burmese python. You don't get food today. Today we are going to be feeding the plains or western hognose snake first, then moving on to our eastern hognose, then the tricolor, and finally we're going to end with the largest species of hognose snake of all, the Madagascar Giant hognose snake. Let's start with the plains or western hognose, or Heterodon massicus. Just to clarify first, because I know there's some confusion with the somewhat recent, not so recent name change of the plains hognose snake. The plains here used to be part of a group of hognose snakes referred to as western hognose snakes, and that also included the Mexican hognose and the dusty hognose. But recently, each one of those species, instead of being grouped under a term called western hognose snake, they have now been given their full status species name, which means this is no longer just a western hognose, it is the plains hognose snake. And honestly, western hognose snake isn't a thing anymore. Instead, the dusty, Mexican, and plains are just referred to as that, the dusty, Mexican, and plains hognose snake. Most people in the reptile community, though, still refer to this as the western, so if you have what you were told was a western hognose snake, chances are it's the plains, because there are very few dusty and Mexican hogs in captivity compared to the plains. So hopefully that helps clear up the confusion when you hear of people, including myself, refer to this as the plains hognose snake. So anyway, let's feed her. This is, of course, not just a wild type coloration. This is an albino plains hognose, and she has a big appetite most of the time, so let's see if we can get her to eat. Try it. There you go. Push your face into it. Here, I'll help. Nice. Good girl. I always try to make sure that they eat it head first because naturally, since they eat toads like this in the wild, they grab mice sideways, which makes it really difficult, and it takes a long time for hogs to start eating or to get it straightened out. So if I can kind of help by making sure the head goes down first, it's a lot easier for them to eat. I find it funny when they stick their tongue out when they eat. Like that. Like, why do you stick your tongue out a little? You're not smelling anything. Reach forward and Squish! Well, that was tasty, wasn't it, Penelope? Aww. Actually, I don't know what her name is. This one doesn't have a name. I just kind of call her Penelope. But I don't think you guys have seen her. This is just an albino female we got as a rehome that we're raising up for breeding in the future. I'm sorry, you can't eat the counter. You are so, so cute. I just love you. Alright, let's move on to the Eastern Hognose snake. This is our Eastern Hognose snake, or Heterodon platyrhinos. Oh, he's already up front. He's ready. This is Sparkles. He was named by a little girl, and he's usually a good eater. Oh, but he is Mr. Sassy Pants today. You are flattened. Oh my goodness. Oh, here, now you can see. So the Eastern Hog has these noticeable black blotches behind their head, and he's very sassy. But that's one of their identifying characteristics. Along with an overall darker color, they have a really pretty pattern too, and they can flatten out almost their entire body when they're upset, just like you see here. Hi, Sparkles. Do you want to eat? I got Sparkles back when I worked at PetSmart. I had a customer come in who had a snake that couldn't eat, and after some troubleshooting, we discovered that he had an Eastern Hognose that he had just taken from the wild. Oh, good job, Sparkles. So what happened was he couldn't get him to eat, and when I discovered it was an Eastern Hognose, I was like, well, he's not eating mice because he's an Eastern Hognose snake that you took from the wild. And these are really tough to get on mice in captivity because they're toad eaters in the wild. So he had good intentions. This kid had good intentions. He didn't want anything bad to happen to the snake, but it was too late in the year. It was like November by this time, and he had this Eastern Hognose for about 3 months. So it was too cold because it was winter time to release him, so I happened to have a rescued king snake that was a great eater and was ready for adoption. So I offered to trade him this little baby Eastern Hognose for a nice established captive bred king snake. And the trade worked out great because I got Sparkles, and even though it took 2 years to get him on unscented frozen thawed rodents, it was a fun challenge, and now he eats rodents from the tongs, as you can see here. He's an awesome little snake. I love this guy. He's one of my favorites in the collection, and he's really made me fall in love with Eastern Hogs. However, as beautiful as they are and as sassy as they are and how cool they are in general, they do not make the best pets, especially if they're wild caught. If you see a wild Eastern Hog, leave it in the wild. If you really want one as a pet, find one that's been captive bred and is already eating frozen thawed rodents before you take one home. Because let me tell you, it was quite the challenge to get him eating rodents. The trick with Sparkles here was to give him an actual toad at first, and then I would sneak in a mouse behind it. And after about a year of that, I started heavily scenting rodents with an American toad. That's the only reason why I keep toads, honestly. It's just for scenting purposes. After he started taking the scented mice, then I just slowly reduced the amount of scenting I had to do until he was off of scent altogether. Now he just eats rodents as is. Don't you, Sparkles? Yeah, he's coming up on 5 years old now, too. I've had him for quite a while. So yeah, that's another snake you don't often see on the channel, so I figured in case you're somewhat new, as in the last 3 years new to the channel, that's the story behind Sparkles the Eastern Hognose. Look at that big smile. Aww. Did you? Oh, you're just flattening out at me again. Alright. Oh, angry. Back to angry pancake mode. Alright, I'll put you back, Sparkles, and let's move on to the Tricolor Hognose. This is our Tricolor Hognose snake, or Listerphus pulcher. He's a beautiful snake, really dark in coloration, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, the tricolor is the shortest lived species of hognose snake, and rarely do they make it past 7 years, and it sounds like 8 years is pretty much the maximum age for these guys. Compared to a 15 to 20-year-old hognose, that's quite a short lifespan. So he does have some tumors in his old age. We don't know how much longer we'll have him because they're such a short-lived species, but he's been a joy to have. Here, buddy. There you go. You can do it. There! All right, buddy. So what happened with the tricolors, because we wanted to breed them, was we bought a pair, like a hatchling pair, that both ended up being males. So we rehomed one of the males, kept this guy, tried to find a female for him, but never could find a female. Now, I think I'm just gonna let this guy retire here since he's about 5 years old now? Is he 5? About 5, yeah, so he's an old dude. So he's just gonna retire here, and then we're honestly just gonna start fresh with a new hatchling pair afterwards. Or whenever we find one. Yeah, the tricolors are so weird because they're a South American species of hognose. They're not in the Heterodon genus though, like the plains or the eastern. They're in their own genus, and they grow quick, they eat a lot, they breed a lot. Like females will lay upwards of 5 clutches in a single year, but because of all the stress on their body from growing so quickly and breeding so much, that's why they are such a short-lived species. So they're really a unique species of hognose. Good job, buddy. Aw, you old man, you. Okay, well, let's wrap it up with the biggest one in today's video, the Madagascar Giant hognose. Here is our Madagascar Giant hognose snake, or Leoheterodon madagascariensis. It's kind of a mouthful for their scientific. And as you can see, this is a big hognose snake. And again, this is the world's largest species of hognose. This guy is probably 5-ish feet, and he is an adult. We have 3 females. They are slightly smaller than he is, and we hope to breed them in 2021. We didn't get them to breed this year, but I think it's because the females were just a little bit too young. He's ready to go though, so let's feed him. Since rats are a bit higher in fat than mice are, we do feed him adult mice instead because we don't want him to get overweight. There you go, dude. Check it out. We also feed him once every other week a couple of jumbo mice, but right now isn't his normal feeding day, so I'll just give him the one, and we'll call it good. This will just be a little snack for you, bud. We picked up this male and 2 of our 3 females from a Tinley show several years ago, and although it took a while to get them eating, for us anyway, on unscented frozen thawed rodents, now that they're usually really good eaters. In the wild, this species loves to eat lizard eggs, and they're able to smell and locate a fresh clutch of lizard eggs buried under the sand. They use their nose to dig them out, and they eat the entire clutch. They will, however, eat a lot of vertebrates, not just eggs. They'll eat lizards themselves, as well as rodents, but in captivity, rodents make a complete diet for them. It just slides right down. So that was a very, very small meal for him. I usually feed him about 3 of those once every other week. Again, I do the adult mice rather than smaller rats because rats are higher in fat when they're younger, and mice are much lower in fat and they're higher in calcium when they are adults. So he won't be completely full from just that one mouse, of course, but we still wanted to feed him for you on camera today. So there you go, our hognose snake species, at least one of each, eating for you in today's video. Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. I think out of all 4 of these, I'm really growing on this Madagascar Giant. I can't wait to breed you guys someday. As always, thank you to our Patreon backers for your generous support. We love you all. And thank you to everybody just watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching the Plains, Eastern, Tricolor, and Madagascar Giant hognose snakes eating. Thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time.